Welcome to Fit to Speak from the Archives. I'm Eugene, but glad as ever to be with you. Halloween is upon us and April Fool's Day is long behind us. But on that day in 2021, I put on video what was an exclusive episode of the program with Masongo Ogora, who was a student at UMBC, who continued to talk about what college would look like in the post-COVID era. So let's now relive that April Fool's edition, otherwise you would be a fool, of Fit to Speak. Hello and welcome to Fit to Speak. I'm Eugene Obah. So glad to have you with us. Oh, it's April Fool's Day today, but there's no clowning around on this program. Anyway, we bring you the final part of our interview that we taped last fall with Masongo Ogora. He's about to graduate from UMBC with a degree in Media and Communication Studies. We begin this part of the conversation with Masongo's thoughts as to whether or not he agrees or disagrees with the notion from some folks that an online education is not so equal to a pre-corona in-person education.
No, Eugene, I don't agree. I don't agree at all because not that I don't like the lecture hall, but I feel so much better knowing that I don't have to feel the pressure of entering class and I don't have an assignment done and we're gonna go over it, or there's a project and I have to present, but I haven't finished my presentation. So I think online schooling, in terms of the way we're going right now, it's good because if you are a balanced student, and I say balanced with air quotes because everyone has a different sense of hard work and studying and work ethic when it comes to not only education but just in life. For myself, I try to write everything down. If I can show you my whiteboard here. So this is pretty much my whiteboard of everything I have to do.
Wow.
So I try to write down everything I need to do in order to be successful for the day. Even if I don't get to it today, I need to get to it at least by the week's end because this is the only way that I know I am in control and I am secure in whatever assignment I'm doing, and it gives me the confidence to not only do the assignment, but to simply finish. There's like times where I talked to one of my teachers recently, and she noticed how by not turning on my camera, by simply being muted, she noticed something was wrong with me. And so she asked me after class, she's actually my podcast teacher. Shout out to Professor Mary Wiltonberg at UMBC. She was like, so what's wrong with Masongo? Because I see you're kind of like mentally off. And I somehow told her everything I was feeling unintentionally. I wasn't trying to have a long conversation, but I just went into how I'm struggling, I'm suffering during this entire thing. I'm just simply trying to hold on by doing the little that I can, by simply making sure that I even wake up and just try to do something because it's so easy to stay in bed. It's so easy to just mentally slip if you don't try to engage with your screen on and having your mic on. Because with the way things are going, at least in my life personally, like not really having those same friends from high school that, I thought were lifelong. And like, with life distancing us, I graduated from Montgomery Blair High School in 2015. 5 years later, it's like I'm pretty much here by myself in this campus apartment, just trudging on. And like, mentally having to kind of deal with like personal demons and insecurities and like death, even, potential death and like stuff that's going on within my family. It's like, you know, I don't know how I do every day. I honestly don't. If I had to really be open for a second, but by God's grace, I just try to, and it's really God that has me here right now. But through that, I simply try to focus on my GPA. I try to focus on potentially learning and interacting with my classmates. I focus on the small stuff to make the big wins so much more valuable. So for those people who are saying online school is not viable because of the degree or, because, it's not what we grew up on. Newsflash, life has changed. We're in the 21st century. Everything is wireless and we are in the future. The kids who are coming up from 2000, 2010 they don't know what life is prior to cell phones and such. Having to only use calculator, not even being allowed to use a calculator for tests and stuff, to now, SAT is just abolished. Everything is just, transitioning. And I think we just need as humans to adapt, because if we don't adapt, we don't survive. Not life. Sorry, to quote Darwin, it is survival of the fittest. It's natural selection.
Yeah, I mean, that's the truth. That's the truth. Things are evolving. Things are changing now at this point. I mean, once this pandemic ends, whatever that happens, everything. I was talking with a few folks about this the other day. I'm like, this is a defining moment for not just this country, the United States, but the world, really. Everything from the pre-corona stages up to this point, you can forget about, as far as I'm concerned, because we're at a point now where, as we said earlier, the future is now. The fact of the matter is, we're going to have more of these, online classes. And there's a lot to be said there. And I think what would have happened 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, in terms of having this stuff, and we mentioned the buildings earlier at all. Um, it's like, yes, there is something to be said about having the hybrid model to keep a lot of these buildings, because there's just so much stuff going on in all of these places, and of course over at the University of Maryland College Park campus, there has never not been um, any sort of construction crane going on up there. So it's just one of those things. It's like, will these stuff stay? Will these stuff go at all? Will we just see? Yeah.
Oh yeah. To take Sorry to take it away. I think the buildings won't last. I mean, buildings are ephemeral, but it's all about the personal connections you have, not only to your teachers, but to your fellow students. Because in the same class, again, my podcasting class with Professor Mary Wiltenberg at University of Maryland, Baltimore County, pretty much we try to interact with each other in the sense of having our cameras open and having our mics on to interact. And we did an exercise. Actually, the same conversation we had was actually after our exercise we did. We were going around in breakout rooms and simply interacting with each other. And I can't emphasize how refreshed I felt to simply have a conversation, even if it was for 2 minutes. And I think that regardless of, if we're on screens, we have to try to interact with each other to network, not only to help each other build, but to just have relationships, because those are gonna last. These buildings, I think the people who are donating money may end up probably donating to the college students again, like in the sense of what we mentioned earlier. They may have the money to provide a student with an entirely new technological setup from CPU, PC, speakers, and everything, and that may change their lives forever. So I think in terms of that, they should already be planning towards not only potentially providing charity to students, but to potentially provide the university with the Wi-Fi and capacity to keep these technological portals open, so that we don't have to have issues when it comes to um, our Wi-Fi being off, or Blackboard shutting down and such. So I think there are ways to transition the money and time into other areas. I do feel sorry for those who are doing construction or attempting to the campus workers who simply keep our campus clean. Shout out to them, because I see them all the time and they really work hard, and I know they have families to feed and such. I think there should be a program where they are properly compensated for the work that they can't necessarily do while on campus. Because I'm pretty sure while they're on campus every day, they may feel that they may not want to risk their lives and their careers, considering, like, I'm assuming most of them are immigrants. We don't know if they're documented or not, but regardless, it's like there should be compensation in which if there are people who are undocumented, pay for their documentation, have them situated in which they don't have to lose benefits in terms of healthcare, in terms of economy, in terms of familial status with the ICE situation, with the kids and families in cages, and provide them with a certain income per month in terms of, like, the stimulus check. If you wanted to take that away and, like, talk about the Ice Cube Platinum Plan, or
Yeah.
simply go into the potential check that we may not even be seeing this October, I feel like we shouldn't really depend on politicians to save us when we can save ourselves. Like, and that's how I kind of feel about voting, if I had to be honest, because at this point in time, like, both candidates are not that great. They all have their faults, but I don't think one specific candidate is going to save us, save the entire world, because our lives aren't going to drastically change like it's a cartoon as soon as they win. We're going to wake up tomorrow morning, simply go about our day. Those changes will definitely be there. They'll definitely have an impact years ahead. But again, it's like, why are we depending on people who haven't been taking care of us as a people? And we, the people, have always had the power. It's not these big political corporations like the government that have the power over us. We control what goes on. We control everything because we have the ability to have a platform outside of Twitter and social media, outside of town hall and all these other hierarchies, to simply address our needs as townspeople, as citizens, as community members, as folks, as humans. So to get back into it, it's just like, I think at the end of the day, we need to start planning towards providing a somewhat socialist program in which everyone, um, whether it's economic or not, gets some sort of compensation out of the fact that we are in this together, as America loves to preach. That's all I have to say on that.
Yeah, I think that there is, just when you think about a lot of the stuff that's been bandied about over the last several months, and now we're in this kind of sort of post-election kind of haze by the time this airs, and it's like, who knows what's going to happen, and just kind of going into some of the stuff that from the Democratic primary with Bernie Sanders and his proposals, especially with free college for everybody, that sort of thing. I think that there's something to be said where it's like, in the perfect world, nobody should have to worry about, okay, how do we pay for college, as it is the case, with some of these other countries, and all of that. Now, of course, some of these other countries, they've got higher taxes and so on and so forth. But then the social structures of it are such that okay, well, still you don't have to pay, for college. We think that this stuff is a public good and everything, and we should be able to provide our citizens the opportunity to advance their thinking, advance their education, and all of that at no cost to them, and not saddle our folks with student loans, which people have to pay for like 20, 30, 40 years. And even if you file for bankruptcy, you can't get rid of those student loans. So there's definitely a lot to be said there. Um, one of the other things, one of the last few things that I want to ask you today, Masongo, is thinking about graduation. Now, already UMBC, they announced that the winter commencement is going to be virtual, and you're going to be graduating next semester. And all of that. And there is the specter of it being a virtual stuff again, as was the case a year ago. So, what do you make of that prospect of a virtual graduation?
Oh, I'm glad because I didn't want to. I wasn't really trying to do all that hoopla about like having to get my cap and gown and like do the rehearsal and everything. It's just like honestly, it's funny because in African culture, like this is such a huge deal, especially when you're graduating from college. Like high school graduations don't mean anything. For those who are watching, they don't really mean anything in African culture and in some aspects of Black American culture. But in general, college is like a huge deal because there's kids who are graduating first generation, adults who are like, have gone through certain walks of life and like it's a huge thing. And I think it being virtual is amazing because I don't have to deal with any of that anxiety of like not messing up, getting my degree, and like having all these people there and like listening to all these speeches. It's just like it's gonna be recorded. I already have my degree. I'm just focused on the next thing, which is grad school. I'm just trying to get that master's degree and be done. Like I think regardless, regardless, my parents are gonna probably throw up something. Family are still gonna come out and all that. So it's like it doesn't affect us in any manner. It's just like it's gonna be kind of, I guess, harder because it's like sending out their invitation, like, oh, it's on YouTube, like tune in on this day, and like people may have their things going on. But I think it's a lot easier, in my opinion. Like I know other families may feel like, oh, this is like super important. I wish we were there in person, but I think I don't like have to do all the pictures and stuff. It's like I'm just good. I can like literally watch my graduation, eat dinner, hang out with my dog, and go on about my week.
Not a bad plan. Not a bad plan. I mean, you have got, I think, a level of wisdom, Masago, that is clearly beyond your years. And I hope that the public, when they see this program, will recognize that. I mean, you have got, I think, a clearly bright future ahead. And in spite of this pandemic that we are still very much in, I believe that people like you will continue to thrive, and I hope that that continues. So, Masongo Ogora, Senior Media and Communication Studies major at UMBC. Thank you so much for joining me today, and good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Next week on Fit to Speak from the Archives, we'll conclude this series with a look back at the March 4th, 2021 edition, a special edition in which I provided extended commentary and analysis on the brief shutdown of the University of Maryland during that year's spring semester. This after having been on a hybrid model and in response to an outbreak of COVID on campus. The finale of Fit to Speak from the Archives, which will include the one movie that you must watch, October 21st. I hope you'll be able to join us. In the meantime, be sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts, and be sure to check out our Substack and Patreon pages to see all of the content that we've got and to support all of the work that we do here. Finally, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell on our YouTube channel so that you do not miss any of our episodes. Until next week, I'm Eugene Obah. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, the best things in life are worth saving.